Today we are going to make together, in less than 15 minutes, the effect used in Five Nights at Freddy's at GDevelop 5. All files used in this tutorial were downloaded from spritersresource.com. But I will leave all the tutorial files available for download in the video description. Just extract the zip file and enter the folder Step 1. But first let's create our new project in GDevelop. I will create a folder for our game. I will put a dark background to help my eyes work well. Now let's configure the resolution of our game. You can put whatever name you want here. And in the resolution we will use 1280 by 720. And in resize mode we need to keep the original dimensions. Just apply and let's go to the first step, which is to add the background of the room to the scene. Let's create a new sprite object and also create a new animation. Let's add the background.png image that is in the Step 1 folder to this new animation. Let's center our background. The Y position will always be 0, the movement we are going to make in the panorama is only on the x-axis. To find the center on the x-axis, at the beginning of the scene, put the center of the background x-axis on the camera's x-axis. Now when the scene starts, the background will be centered automatically. We're going to need to get the new value of x from the background. For that, let's start the game in debug mode. In the debugger tab, just click on the refresh button for it to update the information. Let's get the background object, and we'll be able to see its information in real time. What we are looking for is the x position. Now let's update the x-axis value of the background in the scene. With the background centered, it will help us in the future to position the objects above the background. Now let's add the effect on the layer. Just click on the three buttons next to the base layer and click on Edit Effects. Let's create an effect and select the type as displacement. In the texture we are going to choose the displacement.png file in the Step 1 folder. The scale on the x-axis will be 0, and on the y-axis it will be 200. Now in the preview we can observe the effect in the background. Let's apply and create the horizontal movement of the camera. We want to move our camera to right and to left, according to our mouse position. For this we will need to create an object to serve as a trigger when our mouse touches it. I'm going to create a new animation. And click Edit with Piskel to be able to create a red block. Just click Save and then Apply. And let's drag our trigger to the scene. But first let's create a separate layer for the triggers, so we can hide them in the future. Let's position our triggers, and remember to put them on the right layer. Now we can start editing our events. Let's start by putting a condition to detect when our mouse is touching the trigger. And when this event is triggered, as an action, let's move our camera on the x-axis to make the horizontal movement. To test, let's subtract 1 pixel per tick when the mouse is on the trigger. We can see that it is working fine. Now we need to configure the movement to the right and to the left. To do this, I'm going to add a variable called id to the trigger object so I can identify them in the future. In the scene, the trigger on the left will have the id equal to the left, and the trigger on right will have the id equal to right. Now let's select the trigger on the left by comparing the value we put in the id variable. Let's copy and paste and do the same with the trigger on the right. Now let's change the camera position. If the mouse is on the left trigger, subtract 1, or if it's on the right trigger, add 1. We can see that it worked, but it's too slow. To control the speed of the camera, let's create a variable for the scene. In this variable we will store the value that we want the camera to move per pixel. And now in the camera action we can change the value for the variable we just created. Nice, works fine. Or maybe not. Let me see what's going on. Okay, the variable value is set at the beginning of the scene, so it didn't work. To update the value of the variable, it is necessary to open and close the preview. I think 4 pixels was already good. Now let's limit the camera so it doesn't leave our background. At the beginning of the scene, let's create a variable called limit. To find the limit, we need to subtract the width of the background by the width of the camera. The result is our limit. Now we just need to divide it by 2. Now we have the value that the camera can move horizontally. To limit our camera, let's compare the value of x-axis. To move to the left is the value of the center x of the background subtracting the value of the limit variable. And to the right, it is the value of the center x of the background adding the value of the limit variable. Now our camera movement is set up correctly. At the beginning of the scene I will add an event to hide the triggers layer. To fix the error with the triggers, I'm going to increase their width. Nice, our game is evolving. And with that, we conclude step 1. Let's go to step 2. Now let's add a switch to our game and change the background animation to make the light turn on. Let's create an object for our button and add a new animation. Let's select the image btn.png that is inside the folder step 2. Let's add one more animation for when it is activated. Let's select the image btnhover.png. Let's move our triggers layer below the background. And let's add our button to the scene. Position as you like. Now let's create the events to detect mouse click. Let's add a condition for when the mouse is touching the button. And also when the left mouse button is pressed. OK. And to control the state of the button. Whenever it is pressed, we will toggle a variable called on between true and false. By default it will be false. And just below we will add the condition to change the animation of the button. If the variable on is false, change the animation to 0. And if it is true, change it to animation 1. Oops, something is not working. I forgot to change the second condition, the value of the variable, to true. It works now, but it's changing too fast. I'm going to put a condition to make the event happen only once. Nice, our button works great. Now in our background object, let's add one more animation and select the image background on .png in the step 2 folder. Let's apply and add an action to change the background animation. I will synchronize the background animation with the button. When the button is turned off, the background also turns off, and when the button is on, the background turns on too. Very good, our button works perfectly with our background. Good job. And so we finish step 2. Let's go to the third and last step. Forgot to rename our scene. You can name it whatever you want. Let's add the fan animation to our scene. Let's create a sprite object for it and add a new animation. Let's select the images that are in the folder step 3. Let's enable the loop and let's configure the frame rate. I'll set it to 24. Let's apply and add our object to the scene. Let's align our fan to the background, and that's it all. Our last step is complete. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and comment.